Welcome to Creative Living with Jamie. I'm your host, Jamie Ridler of Jamie Ridler Studios. On this program, I'll be talking to a wide range of creative independent spirits in order to bring you inspiration, stories, and strategies for bringing creativity to life. I hope you'll join me every week. Who knows, one day I might just be talking to you.
Hey there, everybody. Oh, it's so good to be here with you today. I have been a bit sick last week and this week, and that has just sucked. But it's also been inspiring me to pay attention. I'm trying to listen to my body and see what it needs more of or less of, what it needs me to change and where it needs me to stay steady. That's the thing with our practices. They aren't a one and done kind of thing. Dang it! Sometimes that can be frustrating. Like we've worked so hard to get into a routine or establish a habit, and we've been thrilled to have it finally working for us. And then there's a little knock here, a little bump there, and we try to get it back on track to not be derailed. But for some reason, that flow just isn't coming. Something's changed. Didn't we get this sorted? Why do we have to revisit this? Didn't we figure out this plan, make this schedule, sign up for that program? What now? Can you hear my fist shaking? The thing is, we are organic people living an organic life in an organic world. Things change. They move and breathe and grow and shift. And though that may be frustrating as all get out when we're trying to make our plans, the good news is that it signals that we are alive. These kinds of changes don't allow us to fall asleep, to just tuck into a routine and numb out as we go through it over and over again. Change forces us to wake up and be present, to stay engaged with our life in all of its complexity. Can this be exhausting? You bet. That's why we're all trying to simplify, declutter, find focus, know our purpose. We're trying to figure out which path is our path. What do we say yes to and what do we say no to? And to do that powerfully and effectively, the thing we need most of all is to be tuned into our inner compass and present to this moment in our life. That's where the best decisions lie. It's not always easy. Sometimes it means releasing things we don't want to let go of. Sometimes the present isn't what we hoped or imagined. Sometimes it's downright awful. Sometimes your body, mind, spirit, heart, your creativity wants something that scares you. Maybe there's a part of you that needs something that's going to shake up your whole life. That happens. Now, you don't have to make a move until you're ready. An underestimated truth is that when you are resisting the present, your resistance is in fact a part of that present. One thing I can tell you though is this. The more time that passes with you being somewhere other than right here, the more uncomfortable things are going to get. Maybe that's why there are so many sci-fi shows that talk about things like the time-space continuum. The more removed you are from the space and time you are meant to be in, the more you're out of sync with your present, the more problems there are going to be. Now, that's starting to sound big and scary, but truthfully, it's very simple and real. Be here now. Pay attention. Listen to your heart, your mind, your soul, your body, and your creativity. Make good choices. So what do I mean by good choices? You know the ones. The ones that align with the truth that's in your heart. The ones that leave you feeling in integrity, that make you feel right and good with yourself. Trust yourself. And remember, ask for help when you need it. We don't get through this alone. It's one of the reasons I'm here. One of the reasons I like to share these encouraging stories with you from creatives who are on similar journeys. People finding their truth and their bravery and living their creative lives one day at a time. And today, let me share another one of those artists with you, mixed media artist Mo Saha. Mo Saha is a mixed media artist who's been widely featured in industry publications, appeared on TV shows, and taught workshops around the US and abroad. She's also taught online for big picture classes, online art classes, Donna Downey Studios, and more. Mo has also illustrated 2 of her own coloring books, so be sure to check those out. Recently, Mo entered a contest and became one of Creative Bug's online teachers, and that's where I first saw her. She was doing a Facebook Live episode with Courtney Cerruti, and be sure to check out the interview I did with Courtney too, in which Mo shared her creative ways to make art journal pages. I'll have a link to that in the show notes. Mo is a prolific creator and has so much to share. I hope you enjoy your time with Mo. Hey there, Mo. Welcome to Creative Living with Jamie.
Hi there.
I am so excited to talk to you, and I wonder if we could start off with you sharing with everybody a little bit about you and about what your creative life looks like.
My name is Mo, which means honey in my native language. I am from India.
I just got to stop and take that in. It means honey. How beautiful.
I am from India, and I have lived in the States for the last 18 years. Before I settled down to have a family, I was a clinical psychologist. And I have been drawing since I could hold a pencil. By the time I was in middle school, I was creating elaborate collage scenes using magazine cutouts and my own drawings. At that time, I didn't even know that they were called collages, but I just enjoyed them so much. Acrylics and watercolors are my favorite mediums for painting. After my first baby, I found it very hard to continue to paint. There was no one else to look after her, and by the time I could get back to a canvas, the paint had dried or the flow has been lost. But pretty soon, I discovered scrapbooking, and that changed the course of my life. I started designing for magazines and companies, and even though scrapbooking is primarily a paper medium, I couldn't help adding paints, drawings, collages wherever I could. That paved the way for me to explore mixed media. And I also enjoy teaching mixed media workshops to fellow creatives. This has given me the opportunity to meet so many wonderful, talented women whom I would have never met otherwise. So, and teaching online classes have expanded that reach even more. That's how you and I found each other.
Yes.
And recently, I rekindled my love of drawing. And between April 2016 and May 2017, I created 2 printable coloring books of my own. They're called No Place Like Home and Farm Fresh.
Wow. So this has been a lifetime journey for you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And what's inspired you as you've moved into teaching particularly? You know, what has inspired you to want to share that with other people?
I'm a self-taught artist and just chancing upon techniques, often by accident. And I want to share that, kind of tune it in and share those techniques with people. And one of the things that inspired me the most is solving problems. In that, my clinical psychologist role sort of still sneaks in. And whenever I taught workshops, I found that people shy away from showing their own artist's hand, meaning they don't like to hand letter, draw, or doodle on their projects because they're so afraid that they're going to mess something up. They would reach for stamps, stencils, rub-ons, anything that can be transferred.
Right.
And my Creative Bug classes are also kind of in this theme. So while I encourage you to overcome that fear and give your own creativity a try, and not to worry about like being perfect, changing someone's mind is a rather lengthy process. And in the meantime, I wanted to give them some hand-drawn options, a look that they love to enrich their art. So I decided to make my coloring books printable. That gives the option of printing those images in your own choice of paper. You can reduce, you can enlarge the images to suit your needs. You don't even have to worry about messing up or running out. I wanted to take that sense of scarcity away from your minds so that you're not afraid to experiment and play. You can just print it another time. I mean, that's taken care of. You don't have to worry about going and out and buying another one. And while you can color these pages following the traditional process, I am also really enjoying exploring various creative ways that I can take my printable coloring pages beyond the book. I'm using them on my art journal pages, altered books, my planner, creating wall art, making them the starting point of other projects like mixed media canvas, recipe illustrations, even altering small craft room storage and furniture. You saw an example of that during my Creative Bug Live, where my hostess, Courtney Cerruti, and I were using images from my coloring book on our journal pages.
Yes, I love that. It's such a creative way. I love how you said to get out of the book and do more with what you have. I was going to ask you, why do you think people are so scared of using their own hands?
Just the perfection. What if I mess up? What if it doesn't look so good? What if mine is worse than the person next to me? All kinds of things that we just use as excuses to hold us back. I am pretty sure if they just tried, they would be surprised. And the thing is, if their surprise is not pleasant in the beginning, just don't give up. Keep going. Down the line, you will see how far you have come.
What for you has been a challenge in your creative life?
Well, I have 2 girls and a boy and a dog, and my oldest is 14 and my youngest is 2. So my husband is a busy man, although he helps wherever he can. My biggest challenge is making time consistently for my art. There's a constant need to reprioritize and refocus throughout the day. So time is precious to me. I try to make the most of it by being prepared. I always carry my phone or a notebook to jot down ideas, take notes, make quick sketches, snap photos so that I don't lose that fleeting train of thought forever. And I use every single second that I can get every single day. And even if it's super tiny pockets of time, like 2 to 5 minutes maybe, at the end of the day, they do add up. And while it's still less than ideal, I'll take that for now.
Right. It strikes me too, it must be working because when I look at your work, you're prolific. You create a lot.
Yes, because I come from a place that if it's not good right now, it can be better. There is no ceiling to art, right? So wherever I am, I'm in a good place, but I can be in a better place and I'll keep trying till I get there.
You've done a lot of things as well as creating the places that you have shared your work, the places you've taught, your upcoming Creative Bug class. And I saw on your site that you've been published is this true? 700 times?
Yeah, I didn't actually count, but yeah, it is over 700 times.
So there's lots of people who listen to this show who aspire to do that kind of thing. I wonder what advice you would give to them. Like, what advice would you give to them about getting published? What advice would you give to them about becoming online teachers?
For the publications, I would say you have to first see which publications speak to you the most. Like, where do you want to see your work the most? Where are the work that inspire you are published? Take that as a starting point. Most magazines would have a website that would list the submission guidelines, or you could reach out to one of the editors and ask them if you have a specific question, and then create something that you feel is a good fit for that particular magazine. I'm not saying create what you are already seeing because it's already there, but take that as your starting point of thought and then build it up to something different, something new, something that only you can bring to the magazine and publish. If you get rejected, if you don't hear back, don't feel bad. Sometimes you don't hear back right away because maybe they're between 2 issues, and maybe if they like your art, they're going to reach out to you later. If you don't hear it back within a certain time, don't give up hope. And sometimes, your art may be great, but it may not be the right fit for the articles they have planned out for some time. Keep sending, keep submitting. Once they see how interested you are, that you are doing good work, your time will come.
I love that. I feel inspired by your very practical and don't give up attitude.
Oh, yes. If I gave up, I would be nowhere.
What's inspiring you these days?
just about everything. Like right now, my biggest passion is creating my own coloring book images, and just to provide that hand-drawn images that you don't necessarily have to color within the lines. You can color outside the lines, and that's perfectly okay. Just get over those fears that I messed it up. Don't let messing something up, at the end of the day, it's just paper. So what if you messed up? Print out another one, do it again.
If you were to look back on your creative life, what do you wish that somebody had told you?
Oh, I wish someone had told me not to hold back, to not weed out ideas before they had the chance to manifest themselves, to allow them to play out fully, and then go back to pick and choose, to not be afraid to be me and my own ideas, like to embrace my own ideas, even if they're different, because over time, that difference is what makes me unique, what makes you unique.
Right. What was hard about that?
I always felt like it needed to be a certain way, especially when I was working for magazines. They had a certain reader base, and our projects or our artwork had to fit within that frame. And that was great. It was a great learning experience to understand, like we were discussing, getting published. It's sometimes we feel that why my art is so much better than what I'm seeing in print. And it is probably true, but the people, the editors at a magazine, they also love to include beautiful art, but they have to keep their reader in mind, the readers who are subscribing, to offer them more projects that they find easy to do, that they are not intimidated by. Inspiration is one thing, but there are fellow creatives who would like that step by step. They want it simple, and they get intimidated to try something beyond. They may like it, but they're not going to try it. So that was the learning experience for me. When I wanted to say, put some paint on, I would have to hold back a little. No, this is not what is needed, is not required for this particular project, for this particular issue or article, whatever it was. So that was hard.
I can understand that. I imagine that then you have to find a balance between the work that you're doing, that you're offering up in that context, and then did you find you needed a place that you could just be free and do whatever Mo wants to do?
I think I kind of always sort of snuck that in, and over time, they warmed up to my ideas. They began to see that people actually like, and I put it in moderation. I learned to sort of harness that,
Right.
that it cannot be all about paints. And they learned to open up to the fact that it's okay to have a little paint. So we found that balance together, the editors and I, and then there was no stopping.
How do you feel like your background as a psychologist impacts your creative work, or does it?
I would say it does, because before I decided to take on that line of work, I was drawing from when I was a baby, like when I could hold a pencil. So my master's thesis, this was about the play of negative emotions and the choice of visual medium, sort of like the difference between painters and sculptors. The two mediums, like, are the people who are sculpting away, working away their negative emotions, are the painters who are less able to channel it because their medium is gentler. So it was not conclusive because I did not have access to a lot, but during that time I read about a lot of artists, read their biographies, and that had an immense effect on me. And I never forgot. And one of the things that I always was fascinated by were the Rorschach ink blots. That's like a perfect example of where science and art meet. Those are just beautiful ink blots, and what you read into them gives a peek inside your mind. I was fascinated by those, and later on, I wanted to explore art as a creative outlet, as a therapeutic outlet. Like, whatever is going on in my life, especially right now, I would want that kind of refuge in art.
Right.
And I think that beyond making beauty, beyond being published, beyond the glory, beyond the money, it's the happiness, it's the peace of mind that you get from doing something like that. That is something that's an ongoing exploration for me.
I am nodding my head with you, and I know lots of people who are listening are nodding too, how important art is as that kind, I love that word, as that kind of a refuge, as that kind of something to turn to, especially when things are hard. I know that you have an upcoming new class at Creative Bug. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
This class is called Art Journaling on Paper. It is things not normally associate with art journaling. For example, dyes. We use dyes with fabric. That's what we are used to. But in that class, you will see how dyes can be friendly to paper as well. It is not necessarily intended for paper, but you have the power to push the limits of a product and to give it a new entity through your art. And again, I touch upon drawing. Like, even if it's bad, even if it's ugly, do it anyways. Because what is ugly to you, what is not perfect to you, maybe someone else's dream. Wow, I wish I could do that. And also, I am very much into recycling, upcycling stuff. So even a baby wipe that I use to clean up spills of paints and dyes on my desk, I don't throw them away. I save them, and you will see how I use some of those materials to add texture to my art journal pages. And this class is called Art Journaling on Paper. It goes live on June 14th.
I can't wait to see it. So I have a couple of questions. I'm noticing that I think what I hear is that you're somebody who likes to push on the limits of something. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that play out in your life as well as in your art?
No, in real life, I have an example to set. I have 3 kids. I do not want them to push limits of the law or anything like that. But when it comes to art, when it's safe, when it's not hurting or harming anyone, why not? Why not play a little? I mean, what's going to happen? It's paper. It's just a medium of paint. Nobody's going to get hurt.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and your very encouraging take on art. I hope everybody not only runs over and checks out your class, but that they brave using their own hand and trying out paints and doing a drawing and seeing what happens. I know I feel encouraged to do so.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Mo. I really appreciate this conversation.
Oh, me too. Thank you for having me.
I so appreciated Mo's message of sticking to it. I think we all need reminders in our creative lives to keep going, to not give up. This week, if you've been discouraged or wondering when your break is going to come, take to heart Mo's words and keep creating. You know, the greatest gift you have to offer the world is yourself. And one of the ways that you can do that is through your creations. I want to encourage you to do just that. And if you know someone who needs similar encouragement, please take a moment to share this podcast with them. And if you want encouragement like this to reach strangers too, strangers who might need a lift, a boost, and a hug, visit iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and a great review. And we also now post the podcast on YouTube. Just go to creativelivingtv.ca and you'll be able to find it there. Every bit of love you share makes a difference. Every time you support the show in this way, you lift us up a little bit higher and let us reach and encourage even more creative hearts. We're in this together. Thank you so much for listening and for being a part of this show. Have a great week, everybody.